Morning with a stunning claim from inside the Obama administration that our country is not prepared to deal with Iran and a possible nuclear bomb. Well, back in January, Defense Secretary Robert Gates warned in a secret 3-page memo that the administration, in his view, does not have a long-term strategy for dealing with Iran's nuclear program. The White House, though, today insisting plans have been in the works. Caroline Shively, live in Washington with the very latest on this controversy. So, Caroline, what exactly did the Secretary lay out in that memo?
Well, he says the administration and the military, Eric, need to lay out a set of consequences if diplomacy and sanctions fail to stop Iran from developing a weapon. U.S. officials believe that Iran will be able to make nuclear-grade fuel in less than a year and could have a bomb in 2 to 5 years. The U.S. revealed in September, as you mentioned, that Iran was building a new secret enrichment site inside a mountain near Qum. But along with the international community, the U.S. has not been able to stop Iran's progress. Gates said, bottom line, we need to develop something to stop them. Eric?
Yeah, Caroline, what are critics saying about this memo?
Well, it's interesting. Some critics in D.C. don't seem too surprised at this memo. Take a listen to Republican Senator John McCain on Fox News Sunday earlier this hour.
I didn't need a secret memo from Mr. Gates to ascertain that. We do not have a coherent policy. I think that's pretty obvious.
One senior official tells the New York Times that this Gates memo is a wake-up call and includes a revised set of military alternatives to be considered. The White House seems to be trying to downplay this a little bit. One official telling Fox, quote, the White House has been planning for all contingencies regarding Iran since long before January.
Well, we're going to have a view on that from John Bolton in just a minute. But, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, he's spouting off again, the Iranian president. What does he have to say now?
Same talk we've heard from Ahmadinejad before, Eric. He was at an Army parade today. The parade was designed to show off new surface-to-air missiles. One can go 1,200 miles and carry a nuclear warhead. Ahmadinejad spoke directly about the U.S., saying, quote, they have to leave the region. This is not a request. It's an order. Eric?
All right, Caroline Shively, live in Washington with this latest controversy. Thanks, Caroline. Jamie?
Well, just today, Eric, Iran's president did brag about his country's military power, saying no enemy could or would dare to attack. Well, joining us now live, John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, a Fox News contributor. Ambassador Bolton, it's always great to have you here on Sunday mornings. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let's start first with this memo. And the question is, because it was classified and we now know about it, the one thing we don't know is what recommendations might have been in there. What do you think may be on the table? And do you see any change in policy as a result of this warning that we do not have what we need in place?
Well, I think that is the most significant point. According to the story, this memo was written by Secretary Gates in January. It's now 3 months later, and there's no visible change in American policy. So while he may have put his finger on the incoherence of the Obama administration approach to Iran, I don't think he persuaded anybody to change it. In fact, if anything, I think the administration now is focusing more on trying to prevent Israel from taking action against Iran's nuclear program than they are in stopping the Iranian program itself.
Although I get the sense that you feel there's a bit of a bright light here, the fact that the light bulb is now illuminated, that we do need a policy. And the question is, how far do you think this administration will allow Iran to go in its enrichment activities and its pronouncements that it will build new nuclear plants before something is done?
I don't think they're going to do anything. I think the administration's plan B is that while it may be undesirable, we can live with a nuclear weapons-capable Iran. It's now been 7 months since the first deadline that the administration itself created for Iran to respond to the diplomatic overtures that the president made in the inaugural address. And it's during that entire period of time they've looked for any way they could to avoid even going to further Security Council sanctions, which they're now pursuing, and may get in a couple weeks, but will be ineffective. I think the administration must understand that its policy is failing, and that it either concludes that it's going to have to accept a nuclear Iran or doesn't understand what it's up to. Neither of those conclusions is very appealing, I must say.
One White House or administration official is quoted as saying this is a wake-up call for the administration where Iran is concerned. And at the same time, President Ahmadinejad, even today, the defiance continues. He's fearless, and the actions of enrichment continue. The question is, if we do have a plan, should we be quiet about it because we don't want to give away what we're thinking, or do you think we should come out loud and strong and say, listen, if this continues, you can expect X? And what should that be?
Well, if this was a wake-up call, it did come in January, and nobody in the administration has woken up, so it wasn't a very loud wake-up call. I remember Secretary of State Powell once saying to British Foreign Secretary Jack Straw, the only way to negotiate with the Iranians is to hold an axe over their head. So I think if the administration really thought there was any chance of a negotiated settlement, they'd have to make it very clear to Iran that the alternative was the use of military force. That's not the administration's position. This administration, absent some sea change in their approach, will not use military force against Iran's nuclear program, will not seek to overthrow the regime in Tehran, will do everything it can to prevent Israel from carrying out a preemptive military strike. That leads to the conclusion that we're going to see Iran with nuclear weapons, and the administration will worry then about trying to contain and deter Iran.
Unbelievable reaction today, really around the world, to the existence of this memo and also President Ahmadinejad's continued defiance. Ambassador Bolton, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.